This is a preview of what we're going to see versus the Indiana Fever today. Angel Reese is about to be a disaster. The girl was 1 for 13 the other game, 3 for 13 last night. The girl's been awful. Shooting 26% on layups in the last 3 games, shooting 20% from 3, shooting 68% from the free throw line. Angel Reese is about to have an all-out stinker as Caitlin Clark dominates her and the...
That right there is the setup, but forget the jokes for a second, because Indiana cannot afford to treat this like another Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese internet circus. There is a much bigger problem waiting underneath all that noise, and if the Fever do not solve it tonight, the consequences could follow them straight into the playoffs.
Game. This is borderline a must-win for the Indiana Fever. Make no mistake about it. The Indiana Fever have to win this game. Playoff seeding is on the line, and it's on the line in a major way. It's on the line in a major way. Take a look at this here. The Indiana Fever are right here, right above the Atlanta Dream, right there tied with the right there with the Vegas Aces. You don't want to lose.
Now we get to the real pressure. This is not just a rivalry game where everybody spends 3 hours arguing about Clark, Reese, highlights, rebounds, and social media clips. Indiana is fighting for position, and one bad result can change the path sitting in front of them. That is what makes this matchup dangerous. The Fever have enough offensive firepower to beat almost anybody when they play at Caitlin Clark's preferred speed. But they also have weaknesses that can turn a game they should control into a 4-quarter fight. And later, we have to talk about the one thing Indiana keeps doing that could completely sabotage Clark even if she plays well. It has already cost her assists, already given opponents extra possessions, and against this type of team, it can become the difference between moving up and slipping backward.
This is a big, big game. Playoff implications are on the line. And let's be real, the Atlanta Dream beat the Indiana Fever the last 2 games. They played back-to-back, and the Atlanta Dream won both games. Caitlin Clark had a disastrous 3rd quarter in one of those games, so she needs to step up in a big way. Rhyne Howard's going to be defending her, and this is going to be the main key to the game. That's the main matchup. Caitlin Clark versus Rhyne Howard is the real.
There is the part people cannot overlook. Atlanta already beat Indiana in the previous 2 meetings referenced here. So whatever confidence Fever fans have coming into this one, the Dream have actual evidence that they can make Indiana uncomfortable. And that puts more responsibility on Clark, because this is exactly the kind of game where the best player has to dictate the terms, not necessarily score 40, not necessarily hit some logo 3 every 5 minutes. Dictate the game. If Atlanta wants a slower half-court possession, speed them up. If they load toward Clark, make the pass before the second defender arrives. If they back off, punish the space. If they blitz, get rid of it, and force Indiana's next player to make the obvious read. That matchup with Rhyne Howard matters, because Howard gives Atlanta size, athleticism, and enough offensive threat that Indiana cannot simply treat her like somebody assigned to chase Clark around. She can influence both ends, so the challenge is not, can Caitlin Clark win a highlight battle? The challenge is whether Clark can force Atlanta to spend the afternoon reacting to her, instead of letting the Dream establish the game they want.
Matchup. Rhyne Howard's going to be defending Caitlin Clark. Rhyne Howard offensively has been a roller coaster, okay? And if Caitlin Clark can outdo Rhyne Howard, which I believe she will, okay, we need to put that ball in Caitlin Clark's hands. The same thing we've been doing the last couple games. Put that ball in Caitlin Clark's hands. Let's rock and roll and let's run. They got Bree Jones. She don't want to run. Angel Reese, she don't want to run. They cannot keep up with the breakneck tempo of the Indiana Fever when we put the ball in Caitlin Clark's hands and let her do her thing.
That is Indiana's first real liver, pace. Clark becomes a different kind of problem when the defense does not have time to get organized. Give her the ball early, let her scan before everybody gets matched, and suddenly every defender has 2 jobs. Find your assignment, but also locate Clark. Stop the ball, but do not lose the rim runner. Protect the paint, but do not surrender the transition 3. That is where Indiana can create chaos without calling anything complicated. And the reason this matters against Atlanta is personnel. Brianna Jones is a powerful interior presence, but Indiana should not voluntarily turn this into a wrestling match in the half-court every possession. Make the Dream bigs run. Make them defend actions before they are comfortable. Turn misses into outlets and makes into quick pushes before Atlanta can load the floor. Clark's passing is most destructive when everybody else runs with purpose. A teammate sprinting the wing is not just trying to score. She stretches the defense. A big running directly to the rim pulls somebody with her. A shooter filling the opposite corner makes the weak side defender hesitate. That hesitation is where Clark lives. But Indiana cannot just say, "Caitlin has the ball, everything is fixed." Pace only works when the players around her finish the possessions she creates. And that
I know we make fun of Angel Reese for the me-bounds. It is funny. But damn it, she getting them rebounds, and we have to box out. This is an Indiana Fever team that has gotten away beating the Seattle Storm, giving up 16 offensive rebounds. You beat the New York Liberty, giving up 13 offensive rebounds. You have got to stop giving up so many second chance points and offensive rebounds. We're already not a great defensive team. The defense has been improving. I do believe the defense has been improving, but we're not the greatest defensive team. And since you already not a good defensive team, when you finally get stops, your ass better be getting rebounds.
This might be the least glamorous part of the game, and one of the most important. Indiana has been surviving offensive rebounds, 16 surrendered against Seattle, 13 against New York, according to the breakdown you just heard. You can survive numbers like that on nights when your offense is humming. You cannot build your entire playoff identity around hoping Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell erase every extra possession you hand the other team. Think about what an offensive rebound actually does to a defense. You spend 15 or 20 seconds fighting through screens, rotating, closing out, maybe forcing exactly the shot you wanted. The ball finally misses. That should be your reward. Instead, somebody gets inside position, grabs it, and now your defense has to do the entire job again while it is already scrambled. Against a player like Angel Reese, this is where all the jokes stop mattering. People can laugh at percentages and missed shots all day. If she keeps a possession alive 3 times, Indiana still has a problem. A missed attempt that becomes another attempt is not a defensive win. The Fever do not need every player to suddenly become an elite rebounder. They need discipline. Find a body before chasing the ball. Guards cannot leak out every time expecting a Clark outlet. Bigs cannot assume somebody else is making contact. Finish the possession first. Because if Indiana lets Atlanta manufacture 15 or 16 extra chances, then Clark is being asked to beat 2 teams, the Dream and Indiana's own inability to close defensive possessions.
Putting the ball, number one, putting the ball in Caitlin Clark's hands, letting her control this game, her having a good game and being aggressive. 2, finishing defensive possessions with the rebound. 3, can we make our own damn layups? We running around laughing at Angel Reese. Aaliyah Boston looking like her name should be Aaliyah Reese. Aaliyah Boston has been looking like Angel Reese around the basket when it comes to making layups. This is an Indiana Fever team that blew 10 Caitlin Clark assists on layups alone. On layups alone, bruh.
And now we hit the problem that could make every other conversation irrelevant. Indiana has to finish around the rim. 10 potential Caitlin Clark assists lost on layups is the number mentioned in this breakdown. And even if you strip Clark's name away from it, that is brutal offense. A missed layup is not just 2 points disappearing. It changes transition defense. It changes confidence. It changes the way the opponent guards the next drive. And for a passer like Clark, repeated missed finishes can eventually encourage defenders to stay home instead of helping because they stop fearing the result at the rim. That is the hidden damage. If Clark beats the first layer and throws a pass that puts a teammate 5 feet from the basket, Indiana has already won the possession tactically. The offense created what it wanted. The coach can draw 100 actions, but you cannot scheme the basketball through the cylinder. Aaliyah Boston is especially important here because she should be one of Clark's most reliable pressure releases. When defenses step toward Caitlin, Boston frequently has the advantage in the middle. Catch, gather, finish. That connection should punish aggressive coverage. Kelsey Mitchell has to finish hers. Lexi Hull has to finish hers. Sophie Cunningham has to finish hers. Michaela Onyenwere, the bigs, the cutters, whoever is receiving those passes has to turn creation into points. And there is an uncomfortable truth attached to all of this. People love measuring Clark by assists, but sometimes the box score cannot tell you how well she actually passed. If 5 perfect passes become 5 missed layups, the stat sheet says 0 assists. The film says she did her job.
Layups that go for Kelsey Mitchell, Lexi Hall, that layup. I don't even know if Lexi Hall is going to be playable anymore. I think Stephanie White has destroyed her confidence to the point where she's borderline unplayable at this point, it seems like. I don't know. I love Lexi Hall, 6 Lexis, but damn, that last layup you did, it landed in the parking lot. I don't even understand how that happened. Kelsey need to make her layups. Aaliyah, make your layups. Michaela Timpson, you need to handle these passes and finish around the rim. Sophie Cunningham, we need you to make your layups, and we need
Lexi Hall is the fascinating piece in this because confidence can disappear quickly when a player's role starts feeling uncertain. Hall's value is usually bigger than one missed layup. She gives effort, length, movement, defensive activity, and she can punish teams when they ignore her outside. But when a player starts hesitating on shots she used to take naturally, the entire possession feels different. You see the extra beat. Should I shoot? Should I drive? Should I pass? Against a defense rotating out of a Clark action, that extra beat is enough for the window to close. So Indiana does not need Hull trying to prove anything with difficult offense. Simplify the job. Sprint, defend, cut when defenders turn their heads, shoot the clean 3, finish the obvious layup, play quickly enough that there is no time for doubt to become part of the possession. The same idea applies to Cunningham. She does not need 20 shots. She needs the shots created by the gravity of Indiana's stars. 1 corner 3, 1 transition finish, 1 cut behind a ball-watching defender. Those possessions change games because they punish teams for sending attention somewhere else. And that leads directly into a larger question. Who is Indiana's 4th scorer tonight?
The 4th thing is going to be, we need somebody else to come to the party. I don't know if it's going to be Sophie Cunningham off the bench that'll hit 3-4 threes. Maybe it'll be Ty Harris. Maybe she's feeling good. The girl went 5 for 5 last game. Maybe she's feeling hot from 3 and she can come off the bench and give us 3 to 4 threes. But we're going to need somebody else to join the party off the bench, whether it's Ty Harris, Sophie Cunningham. Somebody got to come in. Monique Billings, come and give us 13 off the bench.
This is where playoff caliber teams separate themselves. Your stars can establish the ceiling, but somebody unexpected often decides the game. Maybe Ty Harris stays hot after the 5 for 5 shooting performance referenced there. Maybe Sophie Cunningham hits 3 triples. Maybe Monique Billings changes the energy with rebounds, rim runs, and a double-digit bench night. It does not matter which name delivers it. Indiana just needs someone outside the obvious trio to make Atlanta pay. Because the Dream's defensive decisions become much easier if they believe only Clark, Mitchell, and Boston can hurt them. Send another body toward Caitlin. Help aggressively on Mitchell. Crowd Boston's catches. Live with everybody else. But once a 4th player hits 2 or 3 shots, every rotation becomes more expensive. That is when Clark really starts controlling the chessboard. Now the helper has to think twice. The defender tagging the roller has to worry about the corner. The guard trying to stunt at Clark cannot wander as far. Suddenly that extra half step opens another driving lane, another passing angle, another pull-up. People sometimes call that role player production, like it is separate from what the star is doing. It is not. A star creates stress. Role players convert that stress into punishment, and Indiana needs punishment tonight. Not 10 different players forcing offense, not everybody trying to become the hero, just 1 or 2 people taking the opportunities Atlanta is willing to concede and making them regret conceding them.
Game, the second thing for the Indiana Fever, you got to rebound. I know we make fun of Angel Reese for the me bounds. It is funny, but damn it, she getting them rebounds and we have to box out. This is an Indiana Fever team that has gotten away beating the Seattle Storm, giving up 16 offensive rebounds. You beat the New York Liberty, giving up 13 offensive rebounds. You have got to stop.
Now put these pieces together. Indiana wants to run, but you cannot run if you never secure the rebound. That is the connection between the first 2 keys. Everybody wants the Clark transition pass. Everybody wants the deep 3. Everybody wants the possession where she throws the ball 40 feet and the crowd explodes. But the spectacular part begins with the boring part. Box out, secure the ball, outlet, run. That sequence is Indiana at its most dangerous. If Reese, Jones, or another Atlanta player keeps extending possessions, the Dream are not only getting another shot, they are taking away one of Indiana's best weapons, because Clark cannot push the ball from the other end, while Atlanta still owns it, so rebounding becomes offense. That is why this matchup is more interesting than the Clark versus Reese packaging around it. Their strengths pull the game in opposite directions. Clark wants movement, open floor, decisions made at speed. Reese can hurt you by making possessions ugly, physical, repetitive, and exhausting around the glass. Let's be real, the Atlanta Dream beat the Indiana Fever the last 2 games. They played back-to-back, and the Atlanta Dream won both games. Caitlin Clark had a disastrous third quarter in one of those games, so she needs to step up in a big way. And remember, Atlanta has already shown Indiana that this is not theoretical. The previous meetings matter because teams build confidence from familiarity. If you have beaten somebody twice, you do not walk into the next matchup thinking, how do we survive this? You walk in thinking, we already know where to press. That is where Clark's response becomes significant. The bad third quarter mentioned from one of those meetings should actually be useful film. What changed? Did Atlanta take away early offense? Did Indiana get too static? Did Clark stop attacking certain windows? Did teammates fail to create enough space around her? You use the loss as information. The worst response would be Indiana trying to prove it can beat Atlanta while playing the same kind of game that already produced problems. This is where great guards have to be ruthless about identifying what the defense is trying to repeat. If Howard picks Clark up aggressively, use the space behind her. If Atlanta shades a second defender high, hit the release quickly. If they switch, hunt the mismatch without letting the offense become 5 seconds of everybody staring. If they go under, punish it. The game does not need to look pretty. It needs to look controlled. And Clark has been at her best when Indiana stops overcomplicating the obvious. The ball belongs in her hands when the decision matters.
It can't just be Caitlin, Kelsey, Aaliyah scoring every point. Somebody else has got to show up and deliver for the Indiana Fever. And the fifth thing is Stephanie White, when we got the ball on offense, put some duct tape over your mouth. Shut up and stay out of Caitlin Clark's way. Just stay out of her way when we on offense.
That is the most provocative part of the entire breakdown. And beneath the joke is a real basketball argument about control. Stephanie White does not literally need to stop coaching offense. But Indiana has to recognize when structure is helping Clark and when structure is getting in the way of her reading the floor. There is a difference. Good coaching creates advantages before the star touches the second layer of the defense. It gives Clark spacing, movement, screening angles, and multiple options. Bad offensive possessions become overmanaged. The team enters an action too slowly. Everybody waits for a specific trigger. The defense sees it coming. Clark receives the ball late in the clock, and now she is expected to rescue a possession that was already dying. That is not the same thing as empowering your point guard. And here is the payoff to that earlier question about what can sabotage Clark even when she plays well. Indiana's biggest enemy tonight might be wasted advantages. A stop without a rebound is a wasted advantage. A Clark pass followed by a missed layup is a wasted advantage. A wide-open bench three that nobody takes confidently is a wasted advantage. A transition opportunity slowed into unnecessary half-court choreography is a wasted advantage. This team does not need some magical new identity before the playoffs. It needs to stop wasting the identity it already has. Clark gives Indiana an engine capable of generating high-value possessions at a ridiculous pace. Mitchell gives them another scorer who can punish tilted defenses. Boston gives them a skilled interior option. The supporting cast has enough shooting and activity to complement those three. The formula is sitting there, but the margin between Indiana looking dangerous and Indiana looking chaotic is whether all 5 players complete the possession. That means White's job is not to prove how much offense she can install. Her job is to make sure the structure serves the talent.
a disaster. The girl was 1 for 13 the other game, 3 for 13 last night. The girl's been awful. Shooting 26% on layups in the last 3 games, shooting 20% from 3, shooting 68% from the free throw line. Angel Reese is about to have an all-out stinker as Caitlin Clark dominates her and the Atlanta Dream. Now, this is a big, big game. This is a huge game, and I'm going to show you exactly why this is such a huge game.
Now circle back to Angel Reese, because this is where the pregame trolling can distort the actual matchup. The recent shooting numbers cited here are rough. 1 for 13 in one game, 3 for 13 in another, 20% from 3, and the recent finishing struggles around the basket make her an easy target online. But Indiana would be foolish to interpret poor efficiency as irrelevance. A player can shoot badly and still alter a game through possession volume. If Reese misses, gets the rebound, misses again, forces contact, gets another rebound, or kicks the ball out for a reset, those sequences eventually wear a defense down. Even unsuccessful attempts can create foul pressure, rotations, loose balls, and second chances. That is why the Fever cannot defend her by thinking she will miss anyway. No. Make the miss count. 1 shot. Box out. Possession over. That is how you neutralize the damage. And on the other end, Indiana should make Reese defend decisions, put her in actions, make her move laterally, force communication, pull Atlanta's interior defenders away from comfortable rebounding positions whenever possible. The goal is not humiliating somebody for a viral clip. The goal is turning their strengths into areas where they have to work. And that is what makes the matchup interesting from a basketball standpoint. Reese's rebounding can expose Indiana's weakness. Clark's tempo.
Simple. I'll be live for the game. Make sure you join me. We about to have an absolute blast on a Sunday. Caitlin Clark on a Sunday. Oh, it's on, man. It's on. I'll see you at the live stream. Indiana Fever about to put the belt to the Atlanta Dream. Get down in the comments. Let me know what you think. This Keep the Vision.
So now Indiana's challenge is completely clear. This game does not require perfection from Caitlin Clark. It requires authority. Get the ball in her hands early enough to read the floor. Run when the rebound is secured. Make Atlanta defend multiple actions in transition, instead of letting the Dream settle into comfortable matchups. When Clark creates a clean look, finish it. When the defense finally forces a miss, end the possession. When the bench gets an open opportunity, somebody has to turn it into points. And if Indiana does those things, then the individual matchup everybody came to argue about becomes almost secondary, because a Clark-controlled game is bigger than Clark's scoring total. She can control a game with 25 points and 12 assists. She can control it with 30 and 7. She can control it by dragging 2 defenders 30 feet from the basket and creating 4-on-3 basketball behind them. That is what Indiana needs. The Fever have already seen what happens when Atlanta gets its preferred version of the matchup. Now they have a chance to change the terms with playoff positioning hanging over every possession. And this is where I want your prediction before the ball goes up. Which side decides this game? Does Caitlin Clark grab control, push the tempo, punish Atlanta's coverage, and put Indiana in position to climb? Or does Atlanta turn this into another physical battle, where second chances, rebounding, and Indiana's own missed opportunities become the story again? And give me your number too. How many points and assists does Clark finish with, and does Angel Reese control the glass or get neutralized by Indiana's box-outs? Pick a side in the comments. No sitting on the fence after the game and pretending you called it. If you think Indiana takes care of business, say it now. If you think Atlanta makes it 3 straight in this matchup, say that now too. Like the video, subscribe to Keep the Vision, turn on the bell, and get in the comments, because this one has rivalry noise, playoff pressure, star power, and one massive question.